I've requested you, Andrea. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for making this happen today, Andrea. I'm excited for it. Let's see, I live in Los Angeles. Family is from Guatemala, and I was born here in LA. Oh yeah, B-Funk Nasty, same situation.
Hi, us too. Actually, I was born in Guatemala.
Really? Tell us more.
I'm the youngest of four. And when I was born, we had a family occurrence happen, but my dad had already come back between the States and Guatemala. And he was in the military over there also. So he had been trying for us to move to the States for a while, but my mom didn't really want to. But then after we had a family happening and just things got dangerous for us, so he decided to make the move. Oh my
Priscilla is a great person. Yes. Love it. Andrea, what are you drinking today? I brought some honey lavender tea to the conversation.
Ooh, I made a coffee, Guatemalan coffee. I should have brought the bag. But it's from ℂ𝕠𝕗𝕗𝕖𝕖. You know the ℂ𝕠𝕗𝕗𝕗𝕗𝕗? It's a restaurant in Guatemala. And they make their own coffee. And so that's actually what I made. And I put MCT oil in it, cinnamon, and a little bit of sweet creamer. Because I like it a little sweet.
Yeah. No, I feel you. You and Priscilla both added the cinnamon into your coffee. I'm going to have to try that. I don't think I've added cinnamon inside my coffee yet.
Yeah, and for me, it's the easiest way to get the cinnamon in. Again, to improve metabolism and nerve function, right? We're going to get nerdy here too.
Let's get nerdy. I love it.
We're going to get nerdy. But it helps with the metabolism with cinnamon, but I usually only have it in two things, oatmeal and coffee. So that's why I enjoy the coffee every now and then too. But yeah, going back a little bit to what you had asked me about me moving. So my parents, it's part of like why I'm so passionate about being an entrepreneur, because my parents took three little kids over to a new country, and they were in their 20s. You know, they were younger than I am now. So that's just like the big reason why I have so much drive. But my mom tried to maintain the culture for me, and my dad did too, but my dad was mostly working all the time. So we were very California, right?
Very California, yeah.
Probably like you too, right?
Definitely. Yo te entiendo. So my parents came here when they were like 16, 17, but they actually met in America, which I think is so interesting. Pero los dos son de Guatemala. Okay. And they had my sister when they were 20. I think my dad might have been 22. My mom might have been 20. And then, yeah, same situation. My dad was always working. My mom was the one taking care of us. They had me when they were like 24, 25. They're still babies, you know. I'm 25 now, and I can't imagine what having children would be like at this point in my life, you know. But I definitely can relate with you on the reason you're so passionate about entrepreneurship is because lo haces para la cultura, you know, like you recognize the opportunities you do have, especially kind of being from a different culture, being immersed in like American culture. But ¿a qué años viniste a los Estados Unidos? How old were you?
Tenía meses. I was
meses. You were a baby.
Yeah, I was a baby. Yeah, I was a baby. Sí, equipo Spanglish.
Yes, all team Spanglish. Woo woo.
Equipo Spanglish, exactly.
That's the way the brain functions, you know, especially when you're like talking to someone else. It's like you get excited. At least I know I get excited and I'm like, boop, boop, boop. And then English, Spanish. And then sometimes it's hard to like translate it in my brain. And I'm like, wait, what? What did you say?
So this is what I ask people. Okay. When you dream, do you dream in English or do you dream in Spanish?
Oh, wow. I think I dream in English.
And you guys who are in live too, let us know. Do you dream in English or do you dream in a different Spanish? I mean, in a different language.
How do you dream, in English or in Spanish? Hi, Ashley.
I think honestly I've had both, because I've had I remember in some of my dreams I'm actually talking with my family, and so when I have dreams of my family, especially I have a lot of family still in Guatemala, So when I dream of them, I'm usually speaking in Spanish. But I didn't start paying attention to it until like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, Dennis too has dreams in both. Because was actually having nightmares, so I was trying to figure out what was triggering my nightmares and what.
Mm.
But so I just started paying attention, and it was really weird. And I like talk to my parents too. I speak to them in Spanish, but everyone else it's in English. And
Wow, that's
most of my
interesting.
dreams are in English. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool, actually. I've never thought about it that way. So you mentioned you have a lot of family in Guatemala still. I also have mi abuelita lives out there, and I have like my primos, my tias, is the majority of your family in Guatemala?
I have like a good amount over there, and then people are everywhere. I
I
have
feel it.
family in New York. I have family in Virginia, in Illinois, Nevada, like
Yeah.
in so many different places now. And I mean, I think you'll probably connect to this too. Um, the women in the Guatemalan culture are very like we like to move. So if our own like if we don't travel, we probably have moved to another place. I find that very common with Guatemalan women. We just keep trying to evolve. And so I think that that's caused a lot of my family to be all over the world. I have some family in Europe too, but not as much. But
Yeah.
probably
And
like 40% is in Guatemala.
wow, Priscilla says if family dreaming in Spanish, otherwise in English. Okay. And then Being Funk Nasty, when I visited and stayed in Guate for 30 days, I started thinking in Spanish. I mean, yeah, that's usually what happens, definitely. Dude, I feel you
Mm-hmm.
on the traveling for sure. I was personally feeling like a couple months ago of like itching, like, ay, ya me tengo de salir de LA, like, where am I going, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up visiting Texas for a week. So that was really nice just to like
Oh,
get a
that's right.
new experience, a new place. But you're currently in South Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's that like?
It's honestly, it's way more relaxing. I think I kept trying to find in LA to just have more peace, which is great. I learned a lot about meditation. I learned a lot about spirit and soul. But I kept coming to the same question of where do I move to? And I tried to move to San Diego in 2000, I think 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up getting a new car, BMW at that point, I was so excited about it. Ended up having some car failure like the weeks that I was actually going to start moving to San Diego. And I was just like, maybe it's not the right move. So I've tried to move out. I've lived in a little bit of time in Spain, which is what I really love. Living in Europe is really great. And I think when you have a longer time of actually being there, you start to get a hang of the culture and it's different. So I think now being here in South Carolina, it's not like Europe, it's not like traveling, but there's definitely more of that homey feel and there's no traffic here. And that was one of the big things for me too, driving everywhere because I was going to my clients'
Yeah.
houses and going to schools and different events. So I think overall it was taking a toll on me. So I feel so much better here. I'm able to channel more of my creativity. I feel like I'm more attentive to my clients too. I think over there I was just way more stressed out. So overall for now, I really enjoy it here and I have family here too, so it makes it a lot easier. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and I love to go for a walk at the lake and the beach. That's the only thing. The beach is 2 hours away from me, rather
Oh,
than over
wow.
there. It was like 30 minutes.
Right.
But it's worth it because one of my family members has a beach house, and I want to get my own beach house. So I see it way more possible here in a quicker amount of time too. But I'm willing to travel. So I've been going. Well, right now in a few weeks I'm going to be in LA. So yeah.
That's right. You mentioned that. How exciting.
Mhm.
Well, I feel
Mhm.
like we should give an introduction of what this live is
Yes.
for. It's not just me and
Awesome.
Andrea talking to each other. But yeah, go ahead, introduce us.
Yes, I really wanted just to give this time for us to share about our knowledge. I think we have so much insight. Just getting to know you and how you're setting up. I was checking you out, okay, and checking out your blog and how much I know because I go through it too, like how much effort you put in to work, but I also wanted us to be able to have this time to share some of that value, because one of the main things that I find in a lot of my clients is they will come forward with a goal, but then once they start on that goal, these excuses come in, and then they change it, and then I'm like, no, don't change it. Like we're on track, so different things that I'm sure you've gone through too, that we can share with others to just really achieve their goals. Or, if there's questions, if you guys have questions about health, about food, nutrition, we're the experts here. So go ahead and ask your questions. And that's what I've been knowing a little bit more about your backstory, but I would also love to hear, your why and up to this point, really, because I'm sure it's changed in the past couple of months.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'd love to hear that. And probably if you have examples of like clients or things that you've researched so far.
Yeah, let's do it. I love it. I love it
Yay.
all. So welcome to everyone who's tuning in and staying in. This is Andrea and Cindy going live on just being us. We're both entrepreneurs. We're both very business focused, and mindset is all about leading with empathy and compassion. So I love what you brought up, because I think it's important to definitely share kind of how we got here. So I'll start with my story, a little bit about my story. In high school, I played sports, but I was always overweight. I did not understand the way nutrition worked. I did not understand the way, my health, my body, how to like embrace her and how to honor her. So I think the heaviest I ended up meeting was like 220-ish, somewhere around that area. When I moved up to college, I did my undergrad up in Northern California, and I discovered a gym, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like I'm on my terms, doing my thing. Like, let's check this out. So I consistently started just going to the gym, and I genuinely enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this feels nice, especially as a college student, you have finals, you have stress, you have the anxiety. So having an outlet to just kind of sweat a little and let all of that out was very, very powerful for me. I started hanging out with other athletes, and they started kind of showing me the ways. And one of my good friends was a kinesiology major, and he would introduce me to like foods, and he was very much so in that, it's kind of that extreme measure of being an athlete as a college student. His life revolved around that. So he just like gave me a ton of knowledge on it. And at that time, I didn't realize like kind of the toxicity of it when it comes to like diet culture. And now I'm able to reflect back and kind of like see how I ended up here. But anyways, after college, college was really where I found that passion of like being outdoors, being in the redwoods, living in the coast. I lived in a very, very, I like to call it like an oasis, small town, small vibes, but it was all green, very, like just beautiful. Humboldt County, for anyone asking.
Humboldt, cool.
Humboldt, yes. And so after college, I started working for Starbucks. I was on their management team, and I quickly realized that it was not for me, although I'm grateful that I had that opportunity. And while working for Starbucks, I started training for a private gym here in my local town, and they actually paid for me to get my nutrition certification. And so that was really cool, because I was, back in school, I was working, and I was just around all of these like-minded individuals who were passionate about helping others, becoming strong. The CEO was a woman, a very strong woman. So like, I was just inspired by her. I was like, dude, this is awesome. And then once COVID hit, I got furloughed because gyms were like the first things to go.
What gym were you at?
Results Fitness here in Santa Clarita. It's like a private small gym, but
like an Orange Theory kind of setup.
Orange Theory, what is that?
So Orange Theory has trainers, and you can come in and take classes, but they have like circuits. So you do get like a little bit more of the one-on-one feel, but usually they have certain classes going through, and they have a few trainers per class. So I think it's pretty cool, and it has more of the high intensity setup.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the one-on-one, but it's more of like that group setting, and you kind of go through the intervals as you're working out. But I don't know if yours more like a private gym setup.
We did have those options. So you could go to
Okay,
class.
cool.
It had like 3 classes. It was like stretch, shred, and shred was like that high intensity intervals that you're talking about. And then strength was more of like, let's lift up heavy things. But then they also had one-on-one like private training. And so that's kind of more where I was taking advantage of that. There, I actually discovered obstacle course racing. I don't know if any of you guys are into that, but like Spartan races, I'm all about it. Mud
I
girl
want to train for
races.
one. I haven't done it, but we have like a little ninja
Yes.
thing that we climb across, and it has all the little tracks on it. So I've been practicing on
Yes.
that, but
Sign yourself up for one. Honestly, it changed my life. I'm not a competitive person, but when you're training for something and when you're like dedicated to an event, it's just, that's the type
do
of
you already
focus
have
people
an
need.
event? Do you have an
Not
event
right
that you're
now.
signed up for? So
Not
guys,
right
if you
now.
have an event, recommend one for us.
Yes, if anyone in the audience has one, I definitely support Spartan. I think they're great. I would like them to be a little bit more inclusive. It's definitely like a
Did they
privileged
just
sport.
do it this past weekend? I
They
think I saw one,
did.
right?
They
Yeah.
did.
Was it in
Yes,
Utah or
yes.
something?
Somewhere
Or
out
was
there. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But pretty much, long story short, during COVID, with my business background and just with my expertise, I was like, hey, I'm going to launch ℠𝕠𝕟𝕢𝕠𝕟 Nutrition and let's see what happens. So I spent all of the pandemic just in my business, laying down the foundation, talking to people, growing. And yeah, now we're here. Now I'm talking to Andrea, and that's kind of my story about Lemon Drop Nutrition. And my coaching style is more of that deep health, whole human connection. I strongly believe that, if we have certain goals, you have to be able to look at other areas in your life. For example, if you want to build strength or build muscle, it's not just your food. Food plays a big part in it, but I also believe, let's look at your sleep, let's look at your stress, let's look at, your job, your day-to-day habits. So I definitely pour myself into my clients when, I have the opportunity to, because it can be like a scary path as well, but you're not alone.
Yeah, and
But I
that's
would
what
love to hear your story.
yeah, and that's like I had to adjust for COVID too because I was actually doing in-home private training. So I would go to my clients' homes, and I got pretty lucky because by the time, so I started my own business in 2016. I registered and everything, but in
Yay!
2017, yeah, so
Congratulations, dude. You're
I
like
know
5
it's
years
cool.
in.
I know it's like
I love to see it. I
crazy.
love to
Yeah.
see it. Yes, queen.
Yeah. And it's just so exciting because I've had my ups and downs, just like everything. You have your ebbs and flows, but I also, every time I realized what kind of coach I wanted to be, because we're probably the same. Like when we're working out, that's it. Like you're focused, we're going at it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so great when you can be like that and then come and be gentle with your clients too. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what I finally got to find that balance of being like a hard, headstrong type of coach, almost like that military, like my dad. Like I had that, but then I also had a very gentle, like feminine of approach where kind of like the whole approach that you're mentioning, because I realized if you're not going to the basis of how people feel, they're not going to feel content. And that's where, you start to get a lot of people who can't be held accountable. And so when I first started doing this on my own was because I had already worked with people with eating disorders. And at the same time I was working at that place full-time job, I was also working at the gym at 24-hour fitness. And so having those two set me up in a way to really be like, okay, I can't do the 9 to 5. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not good with, following someone else's structure. But I was also very respectful because I knew that I still needed to learn more about interacting with people. And it was actually really interesting because thanks, Dennis. Once I merged the fitness and the nutrition knowledge and the experience that I had, I realized I wasn't going to be able to coach everybody. I
Right.
was going to have a niche. I was going to have specific
Mm-hmm.
people that I was going to have to work with. in order for me to feel that same balance, so it's been really
Mm-hmm.
like, it's been like a blossoming flower, you feel like you
Mm,
get to the root, and then it's like a whole new venture. And I really like to like
I
encourage you,
love that.
and yeah, and it's exciting too, because there are going to be those hurdles along the way. But just like for instance, Clubhouse, right? I think we can say it right now. But like for instance, that like
Clubhouse.
it's, yeah, it's like another addition, but what I've also
Yeah.
been hearing is that it's a tool, right? It's still a tool, and
Mm-hmm.
that's easier for me to maintain that balance between having a business that's been, thank God, flowing. I had to change it, and I'm no longer like registered as a personal training business in California, because it's no point. Like right now, it's not functional, and that's the basis that I work on. Like I work on functionality. So it's also, I've learned to cut my losses. And I actually had a friend tell me this, and to dating like a few days ago, and he mentioned
I
like
love it.
cutting losses, and it just, that resonated with me, because it's the same thing when it comes to having your own business, but also when you're so good at holding accountability for people. Before you feel drained, you have to be able to cut that, and I've realized now, having like a filter system through little steps that my clients will go through, or people that want to be my clients, because I've also had people that have been my clients for 3 years now, and I'm okay with that, because we work intensely, let them go and explore and try different things, in the sense of, usually when it comes to food or a different routine, but also bringing them back to their same foundation. Our body is science to its core, the kind of science, and I call it the languages of your body. You can understand the language that your body is
Love that.
speaking. You can start to speak back to it, and you know how to respond to what it's telling you. So, there's basic cues that we know, like when you get hungry, right? That hunger cue. But for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us, we never got told as a child, hey, that's your hunger cue. When your stomach starts
Mm-hmm.
doing that, start preparing something. But because,
Yeah.
I mean, I still do it. I still get hangry. Like that happens to me, because if I'm caught up with something and all of a sudden I'm like snappy, I'm like, oh, time to eat. Right. And
Right.
those
Right.
little indicators, I realized how much we actually need coaching, like as humans, and especially nowadays, because food's everywhere, right? Like there's commercials on the TV, there's so much propaganda, even through the movies. It's so natural to find it all around us. I mean, you drive down one main street and you're bound to see some fast food, right? With a nice picture so it looks tasty. But
Right.
when you really have it, most of us can't digest that. So I've really just been so passionate about not just my individual journey, like health journey, but how I can relate to people by navigating that, because I'm not afraid to tell people that you can come off your diabetes medication.
I
I'm not
love
afraid
that.
to say that. Yeah, because I'm one of the few that will ever say that to people, and that to me is the truth, that yeah, that your body can actually achieve that level of health. So it's so important for me to keep staying in that. And that's where I feel like I've really found my niche now, of not necessarily focusing on transformations of the physical body, which you will have them and people can do that. Like I'm cutting weight right now. Like I have a goal, but it's also the basis behind it overall is wellness, is well-being.
Mm-hmm.
But most of
Mm-hmm.
us don't have even the conversations to get there, right? We're inundated
Yeah.
with the negative stuff, and that's what I just really like. I've even had interactions on social media where, I mean, of course, you and I have already like hit it off like amazing. And, there's other people on social media that they don't agree with the way that I do things. And they're very harsh about it. And that's okay. Like, I can
Mm-hmm.
handle the heat. But when people come from a place of hurt, then that's why you're getting triggered, and even as a nutritionist, if
Mm-hmm.
you're getting hurt by me just sharing the way that my approach is, then clearly, like, I don't discredit, and I would never say the person's name, but there's work to be done there, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that coach in themselves needs work to be done because they feel that frustration in them that they have to prove me wrong, right? And here I came back with all my research, boom, 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 giving the research, giving the science, because I love doing that. But I also took my time because I'm not on someone else's beck and call. So I think that really took a muscle of getting used to, especially through like having different types of managers and different types of bosses. I never really liked the way that they ran their businesses. I always felt like there wasn't heart in it. And now the fact that I can have my own business, I can have my heart in it. I have my boundaries, but it also makes me so much more unique. And that's what I love, because I think that that's what in and of itself, we're always selling who we are. It's human nature. But if you can be like proud of what you're doing, then you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to try so hard. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's the same thing with like nutrition. If we would be not so stressed out and we would eat something, things wouldn't affect us as badly as they do when we're stressed out and we eat something. Like there's a difference, and I'm sure too. Like it's so much easier to put on weight when you're stressed out. Or, the people that have the opposite metabolism. It's difficult for them to put on muscle mass when they're stressed out. And that's just
Right.
where you can find the in between for people, right? Like you try to find that in between for others. But it's always based off of your experience too.
Definitely, dude. I love everything you just said, and there's so much to unpack here. One of the big things I want to touch base on is meeting people with empathy, because you hear that a lot within the fitness industry of, oh, my like trainer just doesn't understand me, my coach just doesn't know what I want, like, and then you almost start feeling these like bad feelings towards this other person who genuinely may just be trying to help you. But I mean, don't get me wrong, there are definitely people who may take advantage of that. But I think that's really important what you said in regards to your journey and how that helped you when you meet people with empathy and compassion, and more of like you said, when you are strong in what you do and you believe in yourself and you're showing up as your authentic self, you don't have to try. Like you just have to talk to other people. And that's something that I have found in my personal like business journey, and just talking with my clients. It's I'm not the person who's going to fix your problems. I'm the person who's going to help you find the right tools for your body and find your language and find the tools that you need in order for you to be successful, because no one's the same. And I think that's the beauty of like life. It's like we may
Mm-hmm.
have similarities, but at the same time, even if like, let's say I start eating the food you continuously eat, because I'm sure you are on your like regimen, because I know I am, right? Like I know the foods that make me feel happy, and I know the foods that make me feel energized, and all that good stuff. Our bodies are probably going to take completely different responses to it. And so I think when you said that, it like hit a chord of like, yes. And I think that's what this conversation is, right? Coffee with compassion, and how to meet people with that empathy, especially when it comes to nutrition and fitness. So if any of you guys have any questions or any stories about any trainers you worked with, Andrea and I would love to hear it. Definitely.
Yes, and if Priscilla, you're still on, actually, Maria Del Mar is my friend, and she is amazing.
Oh, how do you know her?
So Maria del Mar, I actually met her when I was in Ibiza in Spain, and
Wow. Priscila
yes.
was last night literally just telling me about her and about how they
Oh,
met.
really?
Yeah, small world. Priscila, I hope you're listening to this because it's crazy. Okay, continue.
Yeah,
Small world.
and yeah, so I got invited to an event through a friend out in Ibiza. Ibiza, I love Ibiza. It's beautiful. And so I showed up to the event, and there was a beautiful lady with beautiful hair, and I don't know, like I love hair. And so I
I love
complimented
hair.
her. Yeah, I complimented her, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm Maria." And I met like a few other people, and then like something told me like talk to her more, right? And then I went back to her, and yeah, it's beautiful. And I talked to her a little bit more, and I told her I was from LA, and then she asked me if I knew a few people fascinating being able to connect with her like at this event. It was literally like it wasn't planned for me to show up at that place. My friend just invited me, and that's just how the universe works. So at the
Yeah.
time, I had been there right before the whole summer like takeoff. So she was actually in Ibiza as well, and wasn't in her boat yacht thing that she usually does in the summer. So we actually spent a couple of times having coffee and and meeting up.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So her and I have connected a lot, and she grounded my energy a lot in the sense of, one, you're gonna meet the right people at the right time. She gave me a big like revelation in regards to, when you're doing the energy work, because I also know Reiki. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, that's one of the things that I realized even from my personal training. Like people would tell me after done training, they're like, I just feel so relaxed after I come to you. I'm like, okay. And then I found Reiki, and it just has that relaxing energy. And so I was talking to Maria about it too. And she was like, oh, yo lo uso también. And, all these different things that we just knew that in a sense we were on that same frequency. But it was also the timing, because like I think we spent like 2 or 3 weeks hanging out here and there, and then she went on the private yachts like she does in the summer, and then she's gone the whole summer working on the private yacht. So yeah, that's pretty much a little story. That's awesome. And it's been crazy because when I've done events in LA and Malibu and different places in Los Angeles, and I mentioned Spain or Ibiza, usually people do mention her to me, and I'm like, yep, I know her. It's
Wow,
it's
your
just funny.
story is very familiar to Priscilla's, actually, kind of like at the right place at the right time. Universe, let me meet this beautiful soul. I feel like her name has been brought up twice within the past 24 hours. So Maria came to
Yeah,
LA to do sound bowl healings. Yeah.
yeah, she does amazing work, and I had actually asked her for us to do one in LA. We were gonna do it last year, but of course all this stuff happened, so we didn't
Mm-hmm.
follow through with it. But I've also had this wild dream of putting a retreat center in Guatemala, and I say wild because I really want it to be like that inclusive, like nutrition, fitness, but have that energy component. And I told her about it too, because she's excellent at the sound bowls, and she's just out of this world. Her whole collection is beautiful. I call them the babies, right? But
The
and
babies.
yeah,
I
the
love
baby.
it.
And it's amazing, because if I will have it. I know I will have the retreat center, but I would love like that, like people who like Maria. She's impacted so many people all over the world that I would love for her to, host an event at the retreat center. So those are my like big wilder dreams that I don't tell everyone, only special people like yourself.
Yes,
uh,
I love it. Dude, I
yeah,
love that you
thanks.
mentioned that, because I feel like when we are connected to our culture, that's like when you step into our power, right? When you embrace who you are and you're like, I am Guatemalteca up, and then you like have your dreams kind of tailored to that. That's so beautiful. And I can't wait to go to your retreat. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I actually, like 2 days ago, I was journaling about go on a retreat, dude. Go on a 3-day meditation retreat. I personally have not been on a retreat or any sorts of that. Have you personally?
So I've kind of made my own retreats, but
Please
I've gone to
share.
a few. Yeah, I've gone to like a few different events. I've also, if people watching are into like natural medicine, I've had like ceremonies and different things that we can go on a whole tangent with that stuff. But
Let's do it.
uh,
I'm all about it. All about herbal plants. Again, for the
yeah.
people joining us, we're just talking about kind of compassion, empathy, and energy. So join the
Hmm.
conversation. If you guys have any questions about health and fitness, both Andrea and I are experts in that field. So please ask your questions, but continue with your story.
Yeah, and I realized that a lot of times, coming to these type of healing practices, right? Because everything can be a healing practice. You know,
Mm-hmm.
saying a prayer while you're having your beverage if you're saying a mental prayer as you're having
Yes.
that, yeah, exactly. It's a practice. And so it's something that you can have so many different ways. So in the beginning, I would meet a few like more spiritual people, and I'd attend like a few day events. And then I did like a few weekend ones where it'd be music, chanting, ceremony, like mostly vegan food, different things like that. And then when I started working at More Courage, I just started traveling. So one of the first things that I did was actually go to Bolivia, and I was
Wow.
working with a nonprofit organization, and I pretty much went right into the Amazons with people that have lived in those areas for generations, but also a lot of them have had to move from like Brazil to Bolivia and vice versa. Unfortunately, because of
Wow.
like the replantations of different palms and different types of crops that they do over there. So that was one of the first times. But I had gone with a nonprofit organization, but I also created my own like retreat program with that aside. So my friend and I would do little separate things and venture out, go for hikes, type of thing. It's a little more dangerous than somewhere like Bolivia, because it is in the Amazon. So you want to be aware that you want to know people that have like a machete just in case.
Just in case you get
But
attacked by an animal, that's real.
it's just something that when you're out there, you don't think of it, but once you are already surrounded by people that at least know the area, they're pretty good about letting you know. So
Hmm.
that's kind of what I started doing in Spain and different areas too. So that's another reason why I started meeting a lot of more like spiritual centered, I would say like spiritually focused people and healers and teachers, because I did want to do the retreat style. Um, and so it's just been awesome meeting all the types of people, because first of all, music. I love music.
Hmm.
Anything that will make me dance, like I'm all for it. But I'm also wanting to have a drum. But I want to make it. So I want a drum, but I want to make it myself.
Oh,
So
wow. I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that. I love
So
that.
I think that's kind of like a pattern in a lot of the things that I do. I like to make my own version of it.
It's that
um,
entrepreneur spirit, right? You see the vision, you see the creativity, and you want to create. You want that action. I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. And right now there's like two potential locations in Guatemala that would want me to do a retreat. It's just again a matter of everything easing over so people can be open to traveling. And I
Hmm.
just want to have it be, you know, everything included, where your stay, like to ride bikes if you want to do that,
Hmm. Hmm.
different types of events. There's also beautiful lakes, and like just like streams of water. So doing
Hmm.
little trips like that as part of the retreat, I think is also very nice, because I've noticed with retreats sometimes people arrive and they only stay at that location because it's part of the programming, right? But I think in a place like Guatemala, especially, there's so many things that you can go do within
Hmm.
like a half an hour or an hour drive. So that's kind of the more style of also like day trips. So there's been such a diversity. I've tried so many different types of things, and
I love it.
it, yeah, it's just been overall fun because I've been more of the adventurous type of person. But
Yes.
it feels a lot more safe when it has a purpose.
Right.
you
Everything
know?
with purpose. Like everything.
Yeah.
I don't think we understand like everything with intention, everything with purpose when it comes to your, like, as small as your meals, like your sleep, who you interact with, like where your energy is actually going, right? One of my favorite things, or one of my favorite exercises to do with my clients is, who are the top 5 people you hang out with? Like, who are the people
Huge.
who know who you are, who are supporting you, and who are kind of like, like take a inventory of the people you hang out with. Are they inspiring you, or are they hindering you? But I definitely agree with what you're saying about when people go to retreats, they kind of just stay in that one spot, and it's more of a like meditation flow versus kind of like what your dream is and what you're talking about. It's more of like, no, let's expand the mind, and let's, kind of get ourselves out there. The last time I was in Guatemala, actually, we finished our trip with a couple days in Antigua, and that was the first time I had visited Antigua. And I believe is that the capital?
It's the second largest.
Second largest
The
city.
capital,
Okay.
yeah, the capital is Guatemala City.
Guatemala. Okay, Priscilla.
Guatemala.
Priscilla, if you're still on there, I now know the capital. Yesterday she was like, "Eres de Guatemala y no sabes the capital." Now I know
It's
it's
easy,
Guatemala
Guatemala.
City. um,
Yeah.
but I saw people hiking the volcano out there, and that was a first for me because you don't hear that in America. Like people don't casually walk volcanoes, you know, like they do Mount Everest or they go on like long hikes all over the world. But I told myself, dude, next time you're out here, you have to add that to your list because you don't casually get to walk a volcano every single day of your life. And it erupted. That was the craziest part. I'm like, these people are walking on a volcano that is clearly active. And like, I love it, you know?
I'm gonna have to connect you with my cousin. Her, like, she's on Instagram. Her pictures are amazing. She is
Yes.
like that. She lives over there. She does hikes like every week. And it's amazing. All her pictures are amazingly beautiful. Sometimes I repost them to my stories and stuff because she loves that. She's always been active and she loves hiking. But I always tell her, like, man, because most of the time when I go to Guate, all the family wants to see me, so I don't really
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of time separate to go
Mm-hmm.
and venture. So I've done like two small hikes, mostly in Antigua, and I can't remember. I think the other one was closer to the beach. I can't remember the exact name. And I've been to Petén and Tikal. So you know
Oh,
those other.
Biten. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Something
yeah.
I found interesting in the beaches, and I know this, or whatever,
Go for
was
it.
the
Yeah.
black sand when I arrived. So, guys, just to like put it into perspective, in America, you pull up to the beach and you park, you usually pay for your meter, and you like walk yourself to the sand. But in Guatemala, you, at least my experience was, you show up to like a little area, kind of waterway area, and you get on a boat and the boat takes you to the beach. So like you have to almost kind of travel there. And it's so cool because you're just on this giant boat with like 30,000 up, not 30,000, but like, you know, a good amount of people who are traveling to the beach. And then once you get there, it's like, it's a whole different world. Like the huts, the black sand, the water. It was really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same because it's coming from the volcanoes. So because the volcanoes are constantly going, the sand is black because it's coming off of the volcanoes. And there's
Wow.
other beaches that don't have the black sand, but a lot of them do. And it is funny because the first time that I saw it, I was like, "Whoa, wait, hold on." Oh, this looks like a beach.
Yeah. It takes you off guard. You're like, oh, wait, what's going on here? Definitely.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm excited for your retreat. And in any way, shape, or form that I can help you, I'm all here for it. My parents actually se van para Guatemala al fin del mes. So pienso que el 27 se van. Y si Dios quiere, I'll be going with them. I haven't bought a ticket or anything, but you know,
Are they
I'm not.
going for like Semana Santa or they're just
Exactly,
yeah?
exactly. They're all about, you know, the vibes. It's all about Semana
Mm-hmm.
Santa or el Año Nuevo. Se la pasan en Guate.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's like I haven't gone for Semana Santa for a long time, but I was possibly gonna do that this year too. But for now, I'm not gonna travel there. But I've also like it's helped me grow and understand more of the culture because there's such respect for everything that we do. You know, and whether you're Christian or you're Catholic, like you still have respect for the whole process, right? Like, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I love about Semana Santa. And it's coming right up. So the whole process of them putting flowers on the road and, you know, the carrying of the images, to me, it's such a beautiful ritual. But rather than it being just like a Catholic based thing, I think it really is our community. Like Guatemaltecos, if anything happens, the whole neighborhood knows.
Mm-hmm.
What do they
Mm-hmm.
call us?
Mm-hmm.
Chutes. Like we're so nosy, but we're nosy, but but it's from again the compassionate place because we genuinely care. You know how families are doing, how people are doing. Like when I show up, it's a matter of minutes. It's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of minutes between other people already know that I'm in town. So that's the other part is that
Mm-hmm.
I know when I do go, I kind of have to have space to be compassionate because I've gone and I've been under stressful situations or unfortunately for
Mm-hmm.
emergency situations and not the same experience. It's very stressful, and you can't
Right.
really be loving to your family, especially when you have a business. It's like it's rude to be, like on your phone and your family is about to have dinner. But all of
Right.
them have been so respectful of my business. They're all super supportive. Some of them have even helped me translate things in Spanish, because I tell them, guys, yo no aprendí. I didn't learn all this science in Spanish.
No, yeah, and that's
All
great that they're
everything
able to
we
help
learned was in
you.
English, right? Like all our studies was in English. So to translate that, I love to include my family in what I do and in my
Mm,
business. So any chance that I have to either, them give me a hand, or for me to give them a hand, vice versa,
mhm,
like vegan food. I know that Honoree was on here talking about, because we mentioned vegan food. A lot of
mhm,
my friends and family are opening up to that more and more. And I'm not like a full blown vegan who's very public about it, but I genuinely try to be like that most days. It's not that,
mhm,
it's just a preference for me at this point.
mhm,
Thank
mhm.
God I've been able to heal my digestive tract and my metabolism. But something like that is actually pretty natural for us as Guatemalans. Our staples
Mhm.
were corn, beans,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Plantains. There's
Yes.
all these staples. Most of our food was vegan.
And I love that you bring it back to our genetics, because a lot of times in fitness and nutrition, we, especially living in America, tend to tailor to the American culture of these are the foods I'm going to eat, right? But when we actually step back and take ourselves out of that equation,
Right.
it's like, look at your heritage, look at your culture. Like, what were your ancestors eating? What foods were helping them stay warm during the winter? What fruits and foods were they enjoying during the summertime, right? Because all of those have natural healing elements that not belong, but they are a part of who you are. And, we tend to stay away from them because, again, like the diet culture or society's kind of like, eat this, not that. But if I ask my abuela, like, oh, sabes que es quinoa, she's going to be like, bro, I don't freaking know what that is, right? But it's really interesting that you brought that up. And I think this is a great time, too, to like kind of shift the conversation to that life work balance. And you kind of touched a little bit on it about when you visit Guatemala, it can be difficult for you because, your family wants that intimate time with you and they want to just spend quality time with you. So how do you think that you balance that work and life and your happiness and your health, but still be able to show up for the world?
Yeah, I think one of the main things is that I think of us as foundational. We're very foundational. So just like fitness, you can break all fitness down to four foundations. So four different types of functions that the body does. And I have a feeling that as humans, that's how we are too. We can have
Mm-hmm.
four main foundations. So for me, faith is very important, but I didn't put it as like a very obvious priority. I think faith ended up becoming just me being a little bit of an introvert. So I'd spend a
Mm.
lot of time by myself, and that's where I started connecting to that faith. And then the other part is family. Like for me, family is very important, but I've also had to look at the cultural pressures as a only girl, that comes with that. So when I
Yes.
started realizing, I'm doing a
Wow.
lot of things that I should culturally be doing for my family rather than what I can actually do. And I think that has been like the biggest awakening for me as a business owner, is realizing that my family is not always going to know what's best for me, nonetheless, for my business. So I have to show that level of value for it myself. So
Wow.
even when I have meetings, I have a little sister now from my stepmom and my dad, and ever since she's been like 4, she's seen me have my business and develop. And I remember her, she'd see me on the phone, she's like, sister meeting. Like she knows that when
Oh,
I'm on the phone, yeah,
yeah.
that I'd be on a meeting, and it's just like, it makes me kind of want to cry a little bit, just because, at such a young age, she had to learn that boundary, like between her sister having work, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's going to be very natural for her to
Mm-hmm.
see an entrepreneur and what it's like. And that took a muscle. It's like creating another muscle of
Mm-hmm.
building that respect for your own business, and knowing that your family or the people that are around you are going to support that eventually, even if, like sometimes people will scoff at me when I say something, right? And they're like, that's one of my biggest peeves. Like, you'll
It's a
see me
trigger
get,
point.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
trigger point because I feel like I'm not understood, and if it's a matter
Yeah.
of scheduling, I'm like, okay, if you can't understand my schedule, then I don't think this is going to work. And
Right.
it's been a big boundary between like myself and friends, and also what I tell my clients. So once you're my client, you're like family to me. It's
Right.
not, there's no like separation between you being a client and being a family, because if you're getting sick, like let's say at 2 o'clock in the morning, shoot me a text. And as much as my partners have
Mm-hmm.
not liked that, that I'm so available, but to me, it's just because there can be situations like that. Like I
Yeah,
had one
definitely.
of my, yeah, like one of my clients this past weekend, they were scared that their child was about to get a fever. And anyone that you're about to get a fever or something like that, apple cider vinegar, it drops it so quick, so quick. And so I made that suggestion, and within an hour, the kid was like walking around like nothing. So
Right.
those are the
I love
little
it.
things. Yeah, the little things that, I can have energy for because I've set those boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
because now my family knows how dedicated I am to this. And even me traveling to Spain, people are like, "Oh, you're crazy! You're expanding too quickly." No, I just met the right people. Like it was the right timing,
Mm-hmm.
because it was also before all of this happened. So I was able to travel back and forth to Spain, I think 3 or 4 times, and build that community. And I think that's just really now being able to have a community that supports me is a huge part. But also like not seeing the time for myself as me being selfish. It's actually me being focused. And so those two
I love
things
it.
have been a huge like checkpoints for me, because I can do that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Am I focused today? And if I'm not focused, what's taking that away? And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
something that you can easily start to analyze how you're giving your energy throughout your day. And that just brings
I
it
love that.
all right back down, right? It brings it all back together, where you can see where maybe what I call little leaks of energy. You can have little leaks, and it's pretty easy, pretty quickly, and they're not dangerous. They're dangerous if they become holes, or if
Right.
they
Lakes,
become
if they become
gaps.
lakes. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that perspective because I think a lot of times how you said you met the right people. So like your clients genuinely need you in their lives, right? So when they come to you and ask you for help, it's not like, oh man, I got to help them. It's like, oh great, I get to help you, right? Like how can I be of service to you? So I really like that you said that because I think that happens as you step into your power and recognize your niche, right? I know like your niche, but like who you want to help, who you want to serve. So then it doesn't feel like you're doing a job and you're just like being yourself. Something I had recently read or something or saw was I follow a very popular like crystal healing person, and she was mentioning about like when you do interviews, how do you get ready for them? How do you prepare for them? Do you have like a checklist? Do you have, certain habits that you do? And like her answer was so healing. It was like, I don't have to prepare for any interview because I'm just showing up as myself, like I'm not going to speak on something that I don't know anything about, and I'm only going to speak straight from my heart. And I think that's really part of that, living that compassionate and empathetic life and showing up as your true authentic self of like you don't have to pretend to be anything you're not, and when you stop pretending you meet the right people at the right time, right? And you kind of just start in that flow.
And that's the key thing about any type of goal. And whether, again, if it's performance, whether it's career, what or health, whatever goal it may be, when you can come from that authentic place, it's going to be so much easier to accept the help on the way. And I think that's one of the biggest things, because I battled with depression, but I still kept that usual thing of me doing my own research. And so it was great because I have a lot of knowledge on how to help people with depression. But I also realized that one of the things that was missing was that family connection for me, because I was so delved into building my own business and building my own brand that I was like blocking one of those fundamentals. And that's what I pretty much try to find out, which is probably the same thing that you do with your clients, in a sense of us trying to find out what's missing or what's hurting. You know, like, 'cause sometimes it is physical and sometimes it's not physical, but it's important to be able to also look at that. And I think now that I've realized too is that we can be very vulnerable, and that encourages other people. And that's why I love being on like social media and just being myself, because even though I can make it look all nice and professional, and it's been progress, like you can see the very beginning of my Instagram, very different than what it looks like right now. But you know, it's but I love for people to see that evolution, because that's just how life is. And if you can accept that you're constantly changing, you can also accept that today is like a fresh day, you know. And that's what I really like to do. When you can look at your day and say, was I balanced today? When you can actually ask yourself that question and not feel anxiety and not feel depression, that's how I call it balance. That's balance.
Yeah,
because you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect responses, but just being in this moment without feeling like you have to do something or you have to fix something that happened. And that took me a while to get there. But that's also why it's my niche, because it's a lot easier for me now to come straight up and say, hey, what do you do with your 24 hours of the day? Because even successful CEOs, like I've had really wealthy clients, but no one has ever had them check their time schedule. No one has ever tell them like, hey, let's see what you're really dedicating your time to. Because again, it's stepping into that vulnerable space, and it's worth it. It's so worth it when you start to realize that, you know, all these things are going to help you anyways, whether it's for your business. And like for me, I just feel so much more complete now that I can have an avenue to be compassionate. You know, I can have an avenue to like have my own private time of my workout and my yoga, meditation, those different things. But then I also love doing it with other people. So, you know, doing the personal training and doing virtual services, those things help me feel like I'm actually engaging. So it has so many different levels, but that's pretty much in like for me to feel complete. And that to me is success.
That wholeness, right? I love it. So whoever's on here, we are challenging you to actually take inventory of your day. What do you do first thing when you wake up in the morning to the very last minute before you go to sleep? And I think that's one of the most powerful things that we can do, is just self-awareness, right? Like, what are you actually doing every single day that are going to help you get closer to where you want to go? And that's one of the things I do work with my clients. It's like small habits, big change, but it's all about consistency. It's like you expand where your energy goes, right? So I really appreciate you saying that, because it's important to make people self-aware of like, oh, I want to have a successful business, but you spend all day on Instagram looking at like cat videos, you know? So there's sometimes there's that disconnection between your goals and what you actually want, and like that mindset, that mind, body, soul connection.
And it even the science part of me is very pragmatic and likes everything to be clear. There was the challenge of things being too spiritual, you know, but whenever I just came like to that spiritual understanding, I just felt like it's a break. You know, we take a break when it's not our mind leading everything. You know, one of the biggest things that I learned with at the eating disorder treatment center, and why I don't count calories and I don't have my I don't have my clients count calories, because
love that. Same. Never.
Yeah, it became like I would see how obsessive it became, and
very toxic.
Yeah, most people that count calories have an out of balance relationship with food. And that's not to say everyone. I know some people that it's just their discipline, but most of
Mm-hmm.
us create a type of sentimental relationship with food and with our routine. And I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest takeaway of, analyzing your day. You start to see, like I've had some clients right off the bat, they tell me, well, oh, well, I can't have alcohol. Well, I don't think I'm going to do this. Okay, great. Nice to meet you. See you next time. And people would be like surprised and shocked. Well, because if you're going to put a no on something right off the bat, and not
Mm.
even try to take out alcohol for like 2 weeks, then you're not my client. You're not my client because it's going to be more of a struggle for me to
Mm-hmm.
try to find, what are the things that could be causing the inflammation? What are those things that could be hurting your liver or your kidneys? I can't do that work if you're not willing to back off of
When they
certain
meet you
things.
with restrictions, huh? Resistance, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's real. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times we don't notice our own like restrictions or resistance when it comes to certain things. So I think every every great coach has a coach, guys. And I highly encourage you, and not even in fitness, not even in nutrition, and whatever your passion is, find someone who's doing what you're doing and like follow them. Just reach out to them because the human brain is designed to keep us safe, and we'll tell
Mm-hmm.
ourselves limiting beliefs like, no, I could never do that. Let me show you how. That's where the magic happens, right? That's where it's like, yes, I can do that. I will do that. Watch me. Like, I did it. So yeah, I love that. I love that you said that.
Yeah. And I think that really goes with the reason why I feel like we connected from the beginning is that genuine compassion and that genuine care for people. And that's what I just want to keep doing that, and especially because you're nearby over there in LA, and I just feel like
Yes.
our own area needs a lot of guidance. And I got really lucky to start working
Mm-hmm.
with some parents, like organizations at elementary schools about a year ago. And it's unfortunate now because it's on the back burner because of all the adjustments. I know it's tough for parents, like the
Mm-hmm.
adjustments they
Mm-hmm.
had to make.
We're
But
sending all parents peace and love and
yes,
just patience, guys.
exactly, because what they've gone through, is such a challenge. And it is hard to support other people, especially if you don't have that balance. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
I love being available to also older clients, because in the beginning I was like, no, I'll just work with 20 somethings and 30-year-olds, and that's it. I don't want to work with people with illnesses or anything like that. But now I've realized,
Mm-hmm.
like, sometimes that's the time that they have when they're in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when they're in their 50s, it's the only time that they've actually been able to not take care of three other bodies, right? So it's something that
Yeah.
it's helped me expand on the people that I work with. But it comes back again to that compassion, right? Having compassion for people and their schedules and how they want to run their life too. But when you can push them, it's there, you can push them, that's when they're really going to feel a lot better. Even though, they might hate you. And I tell my clients, you're probably going to hear my voice in your head for a long time.
That's okay, though. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm like, when you're making, the not so great choices, if you hear my voice, don't feel bad. Like,
Mm-hmm. It's there
and
for a reason, right?
and that's what now I've just realized, it makes it easier the less stress that we put. So I try to really find the balance between being an accountable type of coach, but also be the kind of coach that isn't going to let people do that negative talk, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
that kind of language. So, I can hold accountability, but in exchange, I'm going to need your good thinking. I'm going to need your
Mm-hmm.
positive outlook. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
really feel like now. It's coming this way, rather than me having all of the ebbs and flow and business and all of that. Now it's the ebb and flow between, how public do I want to be? Do I want to take
Mm.
a couple of weeks and be public and do marketing right now? And then I'm not going to focus on that. I'll focus on a different
Right.
area. Yeah.
a different area of your life. I love that you said that. And just to like wrap up this conversation,
Yeah.
so because I feel like you and I could talk for like hours, and we definitely should do this again.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're saying about choosing where your time goes, kind of back to what we are saying about inventory of your time, it is important for us to take that time to like meditate, do some yoga, work out, you know, do those things that fill you up, dance, sing, you know, paint, whatever you do that makes you happy, in order for you to show up for your clients like that. And in order for you to like, not even just your clients, also your family, your friends, the people who you love, who may not know. Like, for example, my family, they don't really know much about what my business does, you know, because I choose to like separate those two in terms of I'm not going to stress you out with what I'm stressing over, you know, because there's only enough room for one person to be stressing about this. But at the end of the day, I know that they'll always support me. They'll always be like, yeah, dude, do what you got to do. Like, we get it. But it's also important for us to like, I'm going to go on a meditation walk right now because that's what I need. And I'm going to go on a 3-day retreat to Yosemite because that's what I need, right? So I think that's some good food for thought. Like, what are the activities that we are engaging in that are genuinely making us better people?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love talking to you. It's been amazing. And, I feel like from the core, right? We had already connected, just like us knowing that we were Guatemalan. But it's that I like, I had mentioned it a very little bit, that the women, right now funny enough, it's Women's Month, right? We didn't even plan it that way.
You didn't, no.
But that's like the amazing part, is that you can also have that balance. The feminine approach to business is different than the very masculine approach. And I think that's what we're really bringing. That's very special. We have that masculine, very structured fitness type of accountability apart, but we also have that compassionate, and where we can be empathetic without, letting go of this. And I think that's just why I really connected with you, because I feel like that's where you are, having that balance between the two. And by the way, I love your shirt.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Yeah.
Goodwill. I got this at like a thrift store randomly, but I agree with you, dude. Like, break down the patriarchy. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it for the people in the back. The fitness industry is unfairly ran by white males. It's the craziest thing. Like, a lot of industries, obviously, but I just want you guys to hear me say it. Andrea and I are coming for the Latinos, and we're here to empower us, and we're here to be seen, dude. And I know that we're like just on Instagram Live right now, but both her and I have amazing dreams that are shifting the consciousness of our earth and just ourselves. I didn't really mention too much about my dreams in Guatemala, but we can get into that a little bit later. You have a retreat you're trying to do. I'm like obsessed / passionate about coffee for some reason. Like, just those two.
I didn't even know that, and that's what we named it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, that's cool, coffee and compassion. But I love coffee or tea. I just feel like it has that loving energy to it. It's like, hey, let me buy you a cup of coffee and let's just talk. Like, there's no expectations around it, or I don't know. I feel like coffee's just so beautiful. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking.
No, that was perfect. And that's what I genuinely wanted, because like I said, I am a social person. So COVID had an impact in me, and I went through my cycles of depression, and it was also not worth it to let my whole company fall apart. Like, I could have been like, well, all right, that's it, I'm done. Yeah. But it's way too much fun, and so even though I went through my like bout of depression, like I knew that I was gonna get past that. And working with corporates and corporations and people that genuinely see the changes in a matter of days, that's where they're like, okay, they're convinced. And that's what I love, is when people start to believe in why their wellness is important, and they believe in their greatness. And that's what I'm there for, you know? So whether it's about nutrition or whether it's about fitness or whether it's about spirituality, I really, again, going back to meeting people where they are and going from there. And that's how it stays fun.
Definitely. I want to connect with you personally more on the Reiki that you're doing. I'm all about
Yeah.
like meditation. I'm all about, like energetic power. And I've heard a lot about Reiki, but I've never actually done it. And I've heard that like, traumas can energetically, obviously mentally abuse us, but also like store within the body. And so I think Reiki is one of the practices that people kind of do to help release that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would love to connect with you on that.
So
And
we'll
your
do that for our
retreat.
next one
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I love it.
Yes.
Okay, Chica,
Awesome.
any final words of wisdom you want to share with us?
Just prioritize your health. I think last year was such a big lesson for a lot of people. But don't fear, just prioritize and then you'll be good.
Fuck fear. I love it. I love it. Yes, fearless. Yes, dude. I'm inspired. I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And I love that so many people chimed in.
Let's do it soon again. I love this. Yeah.
Awesome. Yay.
Okay. I'll connect with you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.